Hello, this is Richard Nicol from Pittsburgh Modular Synthesizers at the Tokyo Festival of Modular. I'm showing my modular synthesizer. What we have here is a fully modular analog and digital synthesizer that starts with a big, beefy, complex digital oscillator. One thing that we're showing for the first time, really since Music Mess, and it's still not available yet, is our game system, which is essentially a voltage-controlled video game system, very lo-fi. You can see it's an 8x8 matrix. It has 5 different games in it, or 5 different types of gate sequencers. So you have a burst generator that uses the arrow, which I know comes across poorly on video, but an arrow determines what the probability of a gate triggering is. The further down in the corner, the more gates, and the less up in the corner, there's less gates. The next game is a gate sequencer where you set the total number of steps, and then you set the number of beats within those steps. Using the joystick, you can change the total number of steps or the number of beats, creating different patterns. And the idea is that it's always sort of changing and evolving because everything's voltage controllable. You can have voltages controlling the joystick. So you have gates coming in to control the patterns, and you get this evolving kind of beat out of it, which is very, very cool, very interesting. The next game here is an asteroid style game where you have your red cursor. Every time it gets hit by a green asteroid, it sends out a gate. Or if the green asteroids hit the ground, they send out a different kind of gate. And then there's random CV pumped out as well. So it's essentially almost a random, chaotic gate CV generator game. Again, though, you can play it with your hands, or you can let it in roam on its own, or you can use gates to control it as well. It has a 32-step CV sequencer, so you have 32 steps. You use the joystick to turn the steps on and off, and then up and down to change the pitch. Super easy, pretty simple. A dual 32-step gate sequencer, so you have 2 sets of 32. Again, you move the cursor around, just press the button to turn off or turn on the steps. If you use CV to control the cursor, then your pattern is always changing, it's always evolving. And that's really the point of it is, it's not a static sequence, it's sort of always shifting and changing, giving you interesting patterns. The next is a clock divider. It's divide by 1 through 8 clock dividers. So the green pixels are the clock, and the orange and red are the outputs. So there's 4 outputs, and you have 4 clocks then. So you use the joystick to set the output where you want, and anytime it gets hit by a green clock, it triggers a gate. Very simple. They can be static, or you can turn them on to roam around, and it becomes more of a random generator. And then back to the burst generator. So those are the 5 games within the game system. Again, we're showing this for just the second time here. It's going to be out in a couple weeks. Just went into production. Another new module we have is our switch module, and this is a very basic performance module. So you have 4 channels, you have a master on-off switch for each channel, and then you have 2 buses. You have bus A and bus B, so you can turn on bus A or bus B. You have your bus outputs, 2 outputs at the bottom that can be switched between bus A or bus B. So really, the idea is it's just a way to patch everything in and turn things on and off and reroute very quickly while you're performing without having to patch and repatch during a performance. You can simply flip the switches. But because it is modular, we decided to put some voltage control in. So all of the gates are voltage controllable. So if you don't actually want to physically switch the switches, you can use a gate to do that for you. So I know sometimes it gets really hard to do this, and you want a machine to do it. Let's see what else we have here. Everything else has been around for quite a while. Essentially what we have is a Foundation 3.1, which is our basic starter modular system in the 3.1 plus case, but we've obviously added a bunch of extra modules in here as well. The last thing I'd like to talk about is our patch box. Now this is a great little modular case, and it's designed to work with guitar and bass and synthesizers that have 1/4 inch inputs and outputs. So on the back of it, you have your 1/4 inch inputs and outs, and it will work at guitar level. You have a preamp to clean up the signal nice and clean or overdrive it. And then you have an output attenuator that you can bring it down to guitar level or line level, depending on what you're plugging it into. It can be filled with any Eurorack module, and you have expression pedal inputs, so you can control if you're playing guitar. You can control it with your foot with the expression pedals, and you have assignable foot switches as well. So the idea is really you can, with the expression pedals, you can control the knobs with your feet, and the assignable foot switches, what you can do is repatch it just by pressing a button instead of having to get down and move the patch cables around. So again, it really designed for performance, whether it would be for a guitar player or for a synth player or even an effects box for a larger modular system. So that's what we're showing here today. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.